It happened on a Tuesday night, in the most ordinary way imaginable. I had been slouched on my couch, half asleep, the glow of the television painting faint blues across the walls of my living room. Outside, the world was quiet. My neighborhood had the kind of silence that only small towns know, an eerie hush that made every creak of the house sound louder than it should. That's when the air changed. At first, I thought a storm had rolled in. The temperature dropped so fast that my breath misted in the living room. Then came the vibration, a low hum that rattled the picture frames on the wall and made the lights flicker. I sat up wide-eyed, thinking maybe it was an earthquake. But no, this was something else. The space in front of my coffee table shimmered, like heat waves rising from asphalt on a summer day. The shimmer thickened, swirling into a whirlpool of light and shadow. My skin prickled. I couldn't move, couldn't even breathe as a circle. No, a portal ripped itself open right there in my living room. And from it she stepped through. The woman who emerged wasn't human. That was obvious even before she lifted her head. She was tall, easily over 6 feet, with skin that shimmered faintly like polished obsidian. Her hair was a cascade of silver, flowing as if underwater, and her eyes were galaxies, deep violet orbs that seemed too vast to belong in a single skull. She stumbled forward, breathing hard, clutching something metallic against her chest. My first instinct was to bolt, to scream, to do anything but sit frozen on my couch. But she looked at me, directly at me, and in her gaze there was something painfully human. Exhaustion, fear, and a plea for help. "Do not be afraid," she whispered, her voice carrying an echo as though two people spoke at once. I did not mean to intrude. But she had intruded, hadn't she? Right into my living room, right through the fabric of reality itself. Middle, the stranger and her mission. The first minutes were a blur of disbelief. I asked her who she was, what she wanted, how she'd opened a portal into my home. She didn't answer all at once. Instead, she collapsed onto the floor, clutching the metallic object to her chest. When I knelt to help her, I realized it wasn't a weapon. It was a cube, faintly glowing, humming with the same vibration that had filled the air moments before. "My name," she said slowly, her accent strange, her words chosen with care, "is Althira. I come from another sphere, another reality. The portal was not meant for here. It malfunctioned. Another reality," I repeated, struggling to process it. "Like another universe." "Yes." Her gaze flicked to the windows, to the dark night beyond. She seemed alert, wary, like someone expecting to be followed. And when I asked why she had come through, she finally said something that made my stomach drop. "They will be coming. The hunters. They track me through every passage I make. If they find me here," she shook her head, "your world will not withstand them." I wanted to laugh, to insist this was too much, too insane. But the portal still swirled faintly behind her, its edges crackling with light. This was no hallucination. Over the next hour, as I sat with her in my living room, Althira explained more. She belonged to a people who traveled not just through space but across dimensions, moving between realities as easily as I might cross a street. The cube she carried was a keystone, a device that allowed her to stabilize these portals. But it was also the very reason she was being hunted. The hunters, she told me, were not her people but something far worse. Entities born in the void between dimensions, feeding on energy, seeking out technology like the Keystone to carve permanent wounds between worlds. If they succeeded in following her here, my Earth would be nothing more than another devoured husk. "Then you need to leave," I said, my voice trembling. "Close the portal, go anywhere else." Her eyes softened. "If it were so simple, I would not have stopped here." She lifted the cube, its glow dimming. "The Keystone is failing. It needs time to recharge, and while it does, I am vulnerable. That was the moment I realized the truth. She needed me. Not because I had any power, any weapon, any knowledge of portals or multiverses, but because she was alone, hunted, and for reasons I didn't yet understand, she had landed in my living room. The coming of the hunters. The warning came sooner than I expected. Started with the lights. Every bulb in the house flared white, then burst, plunging us into shadows. The floor vibrated again, but this time not from the keystone, from outside. A sound like tearing fabric filled the air, and Althira bolted to the window. "They found me," she said, her voice flat with dread. I joined her and saw it. The sky above my street split open, a ragged scar of light unfurling across the night. Shapes spilled from it. Dark, spindly silhouettes that moved like shadows given form. The hunters. Their bodies flickered, phasing in and out of sight, as though reality itself rejected their presence. Panic rose in me like fire. What do we do? Althira turned, gripping the keystone. We survive. She pressed her palm to the cube, and for a moment light surged around her, wrapping her in a thin veil of energy. She extended her hand to me. If you remain unshielded, they will consume you first. Every instinct told me not to take her hand, not to step deeper into this madness. But the street outside was filling with shadows, and the sound they made, a chorus of shrieks layered over static, shattered any hesitation. I grasped her hand. The shield enveloped me too, humming against my skin. It was like standing inside a bubble, air buzzing, the world slightly blurred. The hunters struck. They came through the walls as if the house wasn't even there, their long limbs scraping, their faces voids of nothingness. The shield held against their first strike, sparks flaring as claws of shadow raked across invisible walls. Althira cried out, focusing, the cube glowing brighter as she strained. "They are too many," she shouted. "We must reach the portal." We stumbled toward the living room, the hunters phasing in and out around us, slashing, shrieking. The shield crackled with every hit, dimming, weakening. My heart pounded so hard I thought my chest would burst. When we reached the portal, it was nearly gone. A faint shimmer, unstable. Althira pressed the keystone against it, and the vortex flared alive again. But before she could pull me through, a hunter leapt, its claw striking her side. She screamed, collapsing, the shield faltering. I grabbed her, pulling her up, adrenaline pushing me beyond fear. "Come on!" Her eyes burned with pain, but she shoved the keystone into my hands. "If I fall, you must carry it through. It will only open for you now." "No, I'm not leaving you." Another hunter lunged, and without thinking, I swung the cube. Light exploded outward, slamming the creature back into the wall. My hand shook, but I kept hold of it. Together we stumbled forward, into the roaring light of the portal, and the world changed, ending the choice. When I opened my eyes, I was not in my living room anymore. We stood on a vast plain beneath two suns, the sky streaked with colors I couldn't name. Towers of glass and stone rose in the distance, cities unlike anything I'd imagined. The air was alive with energy, crisp and humming, as though the very atmosphere breathed.